Hello, my name is Karina Castro, and the topic of my presentation is war and conflict. And my thesis is that economic integration fueled by globalization exacerbates inequality and contributes to internal and external conflicts. According to Scott Pegg in his article on globalization and natural resource conflicts, the private sector's involvement in natural resources contributes to the violent disputes and battles that arise between developed and developing nations. For example, when rebel military leader Jonas Savimbi and his political party UNITA took place in the late 1900s, rebel groups thrived in areas rich in gems or minerals that can be mined with simple tools and smuggled out in small quantities. This is because these resources are easy to exploit without needing a lot of money or infrastructure. On the other hand, governments hold the upper hand when it comes to controlling resources like oil, which require expensive equipment and complex operations. Since governments rely on oil revenue to fund wars, they have more of a motive to fight to maintain control. This then causes more war and conflict. And as asserted by the International Labor Organization in 2005, corporations that compete in the global economy are often striving to keep production costs as minimal as possible. This then typically encourages them to move their operations to regions with less strict labor laws. In this case, corporations are less likely to avoid forced labor within their trade chains. This includes forced labor in agriculture and isolated rural areas, and servitude labor such as individuals who are forced to work in private homes as maids or caregivers and are subject to exploitation and control. These persons are often isolated from the world and don't receive equal or sufficient pay. Forced labor is also utilized as a tactic to punish individuals for expressing their political beliefs. Melinda Mills highlights in her article on globalization and inequality of 2009 that neoliberal policies such as privatization, deregulation, and liberalization of markets seeks to promote competition by letting the markets determine prices and selling off public assets. This promotes competitive businesses that are prepared to aggressively compete with the global economy, and they're often conflictual. Mills also asserts that a focus on unregulated markets and reduced government involvement, which is a key feature of neoliberalism, can hinder a state's capacity to control conflicts and ensure social stability. This weakness can create an opportunity for armed groups or criminal organizations to gain influence over marginalized regions. For example, Kurt Wayland, in his Critical Debates article, argued that there was increased social unrest as protests and demonstrations against economic hardship became more common in some Latin American countries during this period. Neoliberalism has only exacerbated the political instability in regions such as Bolivia and Argentina, as it has promoted the growth of the guerrilla movements, which have weakened and marginalized populations, hence promoting challenges to the government as a marginalized fight for their rights, leading to internal political conflict.